A blonde walks into a pizza shop and orders a pizza. And the guy behind the counter goes, how many slices would you like? Would you like 6 or 8? She goes, 6 please, because I couldn't possibly eat 8.
You're listening to Workplace Inappropriate, where HR professionals and their guests discuss real workplace scenarios to answer the question, what is workplace inappropriate? Co-hosts and HR professionals Kearin Lowry, Kate Owen, and Zoe Grahl of WorkforcePositive.com won't bore you with employment law or get right just about workplace conduct. Instead, they're going to answer real questions, like should I dance on the table at the Christmas party? Or can I tell someone their clothes are workplace inappropriate? Kearin, Kate, Zoe, and their guests are lifting the lid on some HR juice and losing the HR fun police tag. With their A-plus HR advice, you can have fun and still keep your job. Now, here are your hosts, Kearin, Kate, and Zoe.
Welcome to the Workplace Inappropriate podcast. I'm Kearin Lowry, the director of Workforce Positive, and we are bringing you today workplace jokes. Appropriate or inappropriate?
Appropriate. Help build team morale.
I suspect that your jokes will be inappropriate.
Probably. I'm waiting for you to get through this part.
I will get there.
Oh,
okay. So a little bit about Workforce Positive.
Welcome to the Workplace Inappropriate podcast, brought to you by Workforce Positive. My name's Kearin Lowry and I'm the director of Workforce Positive, and we'll take a couple of moments just to tell you a little bit about us. We're a HR consulting firm. We're based in Queensland in Australia, and our passion is to fortify our client businesses against risk, to formulate their success pathway towards their future realised. And as a business owner, I know that your future realised is the zenith of all your plans and goals, all the hopes and dreams that you had when you started your business. So how do we do that? Well, we do all the usual things that you'd expect. Employment contracts, we do recruitment, we do success profiling, we do individual performance, learning and development plans, and we run workshops and team building. But what we're really passionate about is bullying and harassment prevention. The Workplace Inappropriate podcast is part of that purpose that we feel strongly about. Creating workplaces where people feel safe to be themselves, they feel heard, and they know they can come to work and enjoy friendships and engagement with customers and their job, and they don't have to worry about being harassed or bullied or sexually assaulted. That's our ideal workplace and an ideal outcome from our prevention programs. So in our episodes, we're going to discuss everyday things that happen in workplaces all the time. And sometimes they mean nothing. And sometimes they can lead to a very bad outcome for the employees and for the business. So today, we're going to talk about something that's pertinent and interesting, hopefully, and give you some tips about how you can show up and do your best at work and be workplace appropriate. If you have any ideas for our podcast, we'd love to hear them. We'd love to hear topics and questions. Q&A is always open every month for you to submit your questions. And if you're interested as a business owner in learning more about how you can create better workplace interactions and prevent bullying and harassment, then please engage with us. Give us a call on 0746 02 990 or contact us through the website workforcepositive.com to talk to us about our prevention programs. We have an efficient, effective, cost-effective program that you can access on a monthly or annual basis. It's my pleasure to bring you this podcast and I hope you enjoy it. Let's take a moment to introduce the people that make this podcast possible. We have Kate. Kate is our HR program coordinator and my executive assistant at Workforce Positive. She's a current HR student at university studying business management, majoring in HR and maybe accounting, but she hasn't decided yet. Kate's passionate about equity. She loves to do the right thing and she has an incredible work ethic. As a person, she's just a pleasure to have around and so funny. But do watch out for her hockey stick. We have Zoe. Zoe is also a student at the Australian National University studying psychology and international business. She's in her second year and about to jet set off to the UK for a vacation internship or exchange program. I think that's what it's called, an exchange program. Zoe has an incredible interest in communication, psychology, diversity, and she brings all of her own work experiences and experiences at university to the table. She loves to know why things happen, why people communicate, and how they can go astray sometimes. We also have our regular Joe off the street. Now, regular Joe, he represents just that, regular Joe. He's all about not being politically correct, not being censored, saying what you think, and letting everyone just be themselves. So thank you to Kate, Zoe, and Joe off the street for bringing your talents to the show. So don't let me keep you from this episode any longer.
So today we researched jokes, for example. Now, I didn't pick any jokes that are workplace inappropriate, but we have got a couple to share. So before we start, I'll start by saying expletive warning. Some of this content is definitely not workplace appropriate. Some of it is highly misogynistic.
Oh,
I'm just going to put it out there. That's where I think the jokes are going to go. It could be racist. They could be overly sexualized.
they will be funny.
But we are here to tell you these jokes in the hope that you can get a clear example of what not to do at work. Naturally, my jokes will be workplace appropriate. So my guest today, Kate Owen.
Hello.
From Workforce Positive. Hi, Kate.
Hello.
And Regular Joe off the street. So Regular Joe prefers not to be named. Is that right, Joe?
that's probably just easier that way. Less hate mail.
But Regular Joe is here to give an opinion, a voice on the male perspective. So you're a workplace participant
Have been, yes.
for how many years?
20 years.
20 years in the workplace. So
20 years.
based on 20 years in the workplace, this is what you have to share with us.
I do. Yeah.
Well, welcome, Joe.
Thank you for having me once again.
Welcome, Kate.
Any hate mail, send straight to Workforce Positive.
Oh, you know where to find us.
Yeah.
At Workplace Inappropriate, at Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn. Tell us exactly what you think of Joe. We can't wait to hear. So,
Oh, that's dangerous.
so should I start with the first joke?
What's your joke, Kearin?
Here's one I prepared earlier. So, why did the bullet end up losing his job?
No idea.
Because he got fired.
That's so lame. See, workplace appropriate jokes are crap. Who's going to laugh at that?
What about the next one?
Okay.
So, have you heard the rumour going around about butter?
No.
No? Never mind. I shouldn't spread it.
Yeah,
You're laughing?
because it's so bad. I don't want you to feel bad. I'll laugh with you in sympathy.
It's a sympathy laugh.
Sympathy laugh. That's what it is.
So, safe to say that dad jokes are okay in the workplace?
Well, I don't know. I can't speak for anyone other than myself, but I do feel that jokes in the workplace are a good way of building, team morale and having a good laugh, but they're fraught with danger.
Yeah, I think jokes in the workplace don't come out. You don't just randomly go, why did the bullet, like
lose his job.
It doesn't just come out like that. Like it comes in conversation. It comes in the way you talk, and jokes come from what people say. Like you have quick-witty people or just make them.
Yeah.
But it's to the point of if they're inappropriate, how inappropriate are they? Should you be saying something like that at work?
Well, I'd feel embarrassed if I said your jokes.
Well, I'm just being a bit dark here, but as a HR, imagine sitting down in like a meeting where you're going to end someone's employment and going, you're the bullet today. Like there are times when even something that you don't think is funny could be highly inappropriate.
Yes, well, that would be very inappropriate, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Time and place.
Not recommended. Okay, so I'm ready to hear your joke, Joe.
Well, I've got
I'll brace myself.
a little one that's not too bad. So I heard this. My grandfather, who's 85, actually told me this one. And he said, so a blonde walks into a pizza shop and orders a pizza. And the guy behind the counter goes, how many slices would you like? Would you like 6 or 8? She goes, 6, please, because I couldn't possibly eat 8. So if you're blonde or were blonde, that's a terrible joke. You don't find it very funny. But when my grandfather told me it, I thought it was hilarious.
Very funny.
But I have told that joke before. So, it would be a polite if you laugh next time. As I shall politely laugh at yours.
All right, I've got a blonde joke now. These are not jokes you should be saying at work anywhere, really, but let's do it. All right, this one's for Joe. So in my hand, I've got a blonde, I've got a redhead, and I've got a brunette. I want you to pick up the blonde. Pick her up. I want you to put her on your face. Does that feel like the first time you ever had sex?
No.
Right, put her back. I want you to pick up the redhead. Put it to your face. Does that feel like the first time you had sex?
No.
All right, now pick up the brunette. Put it to your face. Does that feel like the first time?
No.
All right, I want you to pick them all up and give them a shake. Does that feel like the first time you had sex?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. Hey, that was funny. That was genuinely funny. Thank you very much.
Good work, Kate.
I do think, though, that while that joke is fantastic, you do need ease into it. I don't think that you can just come up with sexist jokes or blonde jokes or racist jokes. They are very funny, just straight off the bat. First day at work. Hey, boss, who happens to be blonde. What did the other blonde? It's just not going to fly very well.
Yeah, I feel like you're not really talking about that sort of stuff at work anyway. You're not really in the area or the environment to be joking around a lot while you're working. You know what I mean?
Yes.
I must have worked in the wrong places then.
Maybe you just weren't doing enough work.
Quite possibly. But I think you need, I don't know about you guys. So some people come to work, they just do their job and they leave. But that's not really very fun.
No, it's not. And like I said before, jokes, I'm not just going to whip that out one day at work.
Yeah, you don't just whip it out anytime that you like.
It's about... It's just like that. It's in conversation. It's human nature too. We're going to joke. That's how we laugh. That's how we release serotonin, Mm-hmm. That's what we do. But it's the insensitive stuff at work that offend people. So joking about someone in the workplace, using them as a joke is bullying and harassment. You're using that person to be a joke.
But what if it's funny?
It doesn't matter if it's funny.
No.
That's a good thing.
Yeah.
It's not genuinely funny if it has to make fun of someone else.
Yeah.
No, I'm only playing the devil's advocate there because I do agree that, making fun of someone, regardless whether it be at work or wherever, is probably not a great idea, but sometimes it's hilariously funny. There's been jokes made about myself that I found incredibly funny, but they were told from people who I liked and or who I also made fun of.
It's who you've known for many years as well, or who you know very closely with. When you have work colleagues, particularly in bigger companies, I know in small businesses you work very closely. People Kearin and I joke all the time, just between the two of us, because it's just me and her. Whereas if you've got a bigger company, it makes it a lot harder to be able to do something like that. And when
you end up finding your little cliques.
Yeah. And I think one thing you just have to remember is that you're not the only person, or you and your clique are not the only people in the room or in the workplace, and other people are in earshot and can hear. So what might not be offensive to you or your friends might be offensive to average Joe sitting over there.
Average Joe's probably not offended by too much anything, but no, I'm sure the hurtful, hateful comments I'll get from this podcast will hurt me deeply.
Deep in your heart.
Yes, which side? Here, I think. It's over here.
This side.
So one of the things we've talked about is you have to find your people at work, and your people might think that something highly misogynist is funny.
Yeah, quite often it is.
Exactly. It might be funny to you and to your clique who would be male.
Not necessarily.
No, not always, but
I'm sure
mostly.
women can find misogynistic jokes just as funny.
Not as often.
No.
Probably not as often, but
And
it depends on the...
A lot of the
group.
time, women laugh at misogynistic jokes just to not rock the boat.
Yeah. Okay, so you have the laughing along, but not
but you
actually.
can kind of tell a woman's laughing along generally.
Can you?
Yeah, you can generally
They
tell.
don't notice when we cut our hair.
No, we don't notice that. That's not important.
Oh, but you have the sensitivity to pick up on someone laughing but thinking that you're actually being really insulting.
I'm not saying that I can guarantee that you'll get it right, but if you make a funny blonde joke and she's blonde and it's a short, sharp, we'll cut this part out because this is rubbish.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
This is good.
No,
I'm getting a bit uncomfortable.
No, what I'm saying... What I'm saying is that a laugh, generally, you can tell whether it's a true laugh or not.
Yeah, fair enough. But I think that in the first instance, it's a bit like we've talked about before with workplace compliments. In the first instance, most people will want to not rock the boat, as Kate is saying. So it's laugh along, walk away, don't make any more of it, maybe avoid those people. But they're certainly not going to go, hey, I'm not sure if that's workplace appropriate, or I don't think your joke's very funny. They're going to avoid the confrontation of it.
That would be ideal.
Well, it is ideal from the perspective that no one has to get into a conflict, but it's not ideal from the perspective that those jokes will continue. You know?
Correct.
And so then that creates hostility. The more you repeat inappropriate behaviour, the more people feel uncomfortable. So the problem is that a lot of the time, jokes are actually very unfunny.
Yeah, maybe, but would you say that you're only telling a joke to get a laugh, and if you don't get a laugh, then you're not going to tell a joke?
Well, it might be you three people over there rolling around on the floor, laughing yourself sick. We're so funny. And a bunch of other people are going...
You have those people at the workplace and everywhere. You just kind of leave those weirdos over there. Those people really like that kind of stuff. Okay, I'm not into that, so
Yeah.
kind of...
But maybe they should take it outside of work, leave it for the pub.
Well, so they're not at work at all.
Yeah, don't tell the jokes at work.
But you want work to be fun.
Well, I think we're getting onto something that comes up a lot, which is people feeling censored. Like they're not allowed to have an opinion, they're not allowed to find something that's discriminatory or somehow inappropriate funny. Like you're not allowed to find that funny because someone said they have to be nice to everyone. You know, you can't do anything anymore. Mm-hmm. I think jokes is part of that story where people want to find the funny part and they want to enjoy that. They want to have the laugh and they'll forget about they probably couldn't even repeat the joke 10 minutes later. It's that insignificant in their life. Mm-hmm. They probably don't even remember it. So they want to laugh at the funny bit, forget about it, go about their day. Mm-hmm. But the impact is the problem. So how do we mitigate the impact? Because I agree that people want to have fun. Mm-hmm. I understand that, you know, you want to have the laugh, that it actually probably doesn't mean anything to you, the joke.
Well, so what happens then? Let's say I'm telling Kate a joke over there and you overhear the joke.
Yeah.
It's got nothing to do with you. The joke's not about you.
No, but I'm just at work.
And you're just at work.
Minding my business, doing my job.
Thankfully, that's one of us is at least doing their job. And you overhear me telling Kate a joke and you get offended by that.
Yes.
What should you do?
Well, one, I have a right to be offended because I'm just at work.
She has to be there. She's working.
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah, you have to be at work, but you don't have to do anything about it. It's not at all about you. And then you go to HR and you complain.
Yeah.
Oh, that Joe bloke, he told this joke that was inappropriate. And they're like, oh, how did it impact you? Oh, well, I heard it and I felt threatened. You're like, well, what? Now I'm not allowed to talk at work? What happens if you say a joke that I find offensive?
Well, it's the same thing.
But I just go, oh, well, it's offensive. Who cares? Move on. It wasn't about me. You didn't direct
I would
it
agree
towards
that
me.
I think probably the first time you're offended, you're probably not going to do or say anything.
No, if it's repeated, I think it's a reflection of the person who's telling the joke. If one person's continuously saying the same types of jokes, they're just digging themselves a hole.
What happens if their colleagues, man, female, doesn't really matter who, find it funny? And you're the one, like let's say you work in a mechanic shop.
I'm the one ruining
You're the one that,
everyone's fun.
Yeah.
And that's exactly the kind of perception that is created by people who want to not have to hear that crap. They're troublemakers because they speak up.
I would say I would not want to work with someone like that.
Yeah, but they don't want to work with you either.
That's fine, you can leave.
Why do I have to leave my job because someone's telling inappropriate jokes at work?
Why do I have to modify? I don't tell you what to do, how to speak, how to think.
This is a very interesting topic.
Now you're telling me what I'm allowed to say at work.
Yes.
Now I do, look, I've got to premise that as, if it's about you and I'm making fun of you, then that's a big difference.
Yeah.
But if it's got nothing to do with you.
I think the issue is that it is legislated, right? So there's this perception that it's like the individual is offended and therefore that's where the problem starts. The problem doesn't start with me, the offended party. In the workplace, we have this whole gamut of legislation that says, we don't have to be exposed to behaviour, activity or statements that are discriminatory. Mm-hmm. And if you look at discrimination as a defined field, like that ranges from sexuality, gender, family status, sexual orientation, race, religion, right? So just there, anything about an inappropriate joke is probably going to fit right nicely under the discrimination legislation, beautifully, right? So you put a little boundary around that. You then have vilification. So vilification is where you actually demonstrate a dislike or hatred or want to marginalise, like proactively, a particular race. Right? So you can imagine, like through COVID, we saw so much xenophobia, right? We saw it in jokes, but then we also saw, public attacks, people being attacked on public transport, all this sort of stuff. That's vilification. And there are things that are really obvious and are obviously wrong, like people being attacked on the train. However, we see like the funny joke as not being part of that. But as a spectrum, it is part of it. It's just not physically assaulting the person. It's making light or joke out of their bad situation.
But whatever happened to sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me?
I'm pretty sure that there's some sort of study about that. Our words are actually worse than, like we'd rather get beaten up than be personally attacked verbally.
Correct, but I'm not personally attacking you. I'm telling a funny joke over here that's got nothing to do with you.
So what if your funny joke was highly misogynist and sexist? That affects her.
So I can tell a funny joke and not be a sexist. I can tell a funny joke and not be a racist. It's a funny joke.
It's the joke itself might be the issue though.
So even if you're not a sexist or if you're not a racist and you're telling the joke, it makes you look like one. So just don't do it.
Yeah, but what's the point then in being able to talk to people if you can't talk to people how you want to talk to them? Like if I'm talking to you and I say a sexist comment
Yes.
and you get offended,
Yes.
okay, that's on me because I'm talking to you.
Yes.
But I'm not talking to you. You literally got nothing to do with it. And you make it about yourself.
Well, no, not necessarily. I think if
Because
it's
that
in
would
the
annoy you.
workplace.
That would annoy me immensely. And it's happened to me before and it really pisses you off.
Yeah. And I think it's because people don't get enough awareness training out there. We don't have meaningful conversations about this stuff. You know, this idea is that we want to talk to you about the joke, but it's not about the joke. It's about the content of it and whether or not it's appropriate in the workplace. Because I think we've accepted that if you sent that via email to everyone, you know, we talk about things being in writing, that would be...
Yeah, but you wouldn't send a joke to everyone because it's not your target market. It's not your target audience. Just the same as if I want to flirt with you, I'm not going to flirt with Kate because she's not my target audience. So my joke is designed, it's specifically like we were talking about.
Yes.
My joke that I said about the blonde joke wasn't funny. Well, you guys didn't find it funny because you'd already heard it.
Yeah.
You're not my target audience.
No, we need new, fresh blood
Justin
for our bad jokes.
loved it. He's giggling himself stupid
Justin
over
does
there.
sound guy. Hi, Justin.
Sorry, Justin, I'm bringing you into this, mate.
No, but the point is, whilst we might not like it, the truth is that it's because it's a workplace, the standard of behaviour is much higher than generally on the street. It's not about you not being able to be yourself or not be able to make friends or not be able to have a laugh.
How do you have a laugh if you're not allowed to tell a joke?
Well, you can't tell a joke that's workplace inappropriate.
What, that somebody, somewhere, might find offensive?
No, that fits within that legislative definition of what
Most
is...
jokes are designed to be offensive. That's why we find them funny.
But I think when you're working, your intention isn't to be saying those jokes anyway. Like usually you say those jokes in a specific place and that's usually when you're having a couple of drinks with your best mate. Like everyone can kind of agree with that. Like I'm not going to sit down with Kearin and be like, oh, like here, there's blonde, there's, you know, or I'm not going to sit down there and like, you know, laugh and joke and, because we got crap to do. We've got stuff to get done. Like majority of the day you're talking about work or you're talking about what's happened throughout your day or what's happened on the weekend. Like there's very rarely that you're going to be sitting there and wanting to say a billion jokes and joke around and laugh.
Yeah, cracking out a joke. So I think that most people have learnt from a workplace perspective that if you tell an inappropriate joke at work, there's going to be a problem, right? So I actually think that it's fairly well known and accepted that things that fall into that discrimination banner or vilification banner are going to get a very poor reception in the workplace.
Probably why I don't work in a workplace anymore.
You should work for yourself. Regular Joe's now a podcaster, content creator. No, but I think that we've actually now gone to doing it in private. I think the workplace group chat is where we hide a lot of workplace inappropriate behaviour. And we share memes and we tell stories or we send videos that are absolutely inappropriate. You know, that back in the day we would have only had text or email, but now because we've got WhatsApp and Messenger, we just add ourselves onto a group chat. It's not sanctioned by the workplace. You're just people who know each other from work.
But it's still work related.
It could become work related, yeah.
As soon as one person says, hey, what time we're coming into work or is someone going to grab milk on their way into work?
Yep.
It makes it work related. Or as soon as it says, hey, did you get this project done? It becomes work related. So
what happens if you've only got a couple people from work in the group chat? So for example, if you've got a group chat that everybody's on, steer clear. Don't ever post anything. Unless it's pictures of kittens and the landscape, don't post anything.
Pretty sunsets.
Pretty sunsets, some people might be offended by a pretty sunset because they don't have one. Who knows?
No, that doesn't fall into the discrimination banner.
But err on the side of caution because if it's printed, then you're screwed. But I'm in group chats with some of the blokes that I used to work with.
Yep.
Hilarious. Totally not workplace appropriate. But if you didn't have that camaraderie and banter with them, what's the point of coming to work? Like half the reason you come to work is for the people that you're working with.
So we've ruined workplaces by putting in place boundaries around what's appropriate.
No, I feel that we've taken a step too far, maybe 3 or 4 steps too far. I do understand and sympathise with people that, you know, misogynistic, you know, I don't even know really what that word means. I'm just a regular Joe. I'm not some expert. But, you know, I get how some jokes could be offensive. I have myself been offended by some jokes, but that doesn't mean that I make a big song and dance about it. I just move on. Because they haven't physically hurt me.
I think it's the repetition of it. I think most people would, in the first instance, want to like kind of ignore it and hope it doesn't happen again.
But I worked in an organisation where I had a meeting with my boss.
Yes.
Because I talked too loud on the phone. So while this is not related to jokes, that's how petty some people can be. And so now we're talking about a joke, which is very subjective. I might find it hilarious. You might be offended.
Yes.
And now, because we want to err on the side of caution, we walk into work, we don't talk to anyone, we don't look at anybody, we don't comment on anybody's dress or anybody's work, or we don't tell a joke, we don't get drunk at Christmas parties, we just come in, punch the thing and out. And then we go home and go, why is my life so crap? I hate going to work, it's shit. Sorry. There's got to be some kind of fun at work, otherwise what's the point in going?
I mean, there's definitely fun. Like you say banter, like everyone's going to banter. You know, it's just the line of what's an appropriate joke and what's not. See, like I said earlier, like the jokes, what we have a definition of joke, we think of a line and then an answer. You know, like that's what we think of as joke. Where in reality, it's the banter. It's the having a laugh about something like, oh, Kearin was late to a meeting. Like I say, oh, Kearin, you're always late to a meeting. Like,
That's true.
Like I'm just like, come on, like, you know, that's bantering, that's joking around. Whereas as soon as it gets to that step up where I'm like, you know, you start making fun, like we understand making fun, but if I say something sexist or racist in a joke in that banter, I don't know, it's just the line. I don't know where I've gotten. I'm so out of it.
I wish I could rock up to work drunk. Oh,
I am not drunk. I am sick.
You're doing well.
But there is a line of those jokes, yeah?
I think so. Definitely.
Like we're not saying do not talk to anybody or do not banter and do not joke around. Like everyone does. It's a course of nature. That's what I said before. Like human nature is to joke about everything and to have fun. You know, that's what we do. That's how we get through our day because yes,
Otherwise,
life
would suck.
Yes, life is shit and work sucks. But so that's how we get through it. We joke around and we banter and we have fun. It's just the level of what jokes are appropriate to be saying in our workplace.
And who they're saying it to, because, I got a couple of mates that I used to work with that we would say terrible things to each other. But it was kind of like the more terrible things we said to each other meant that we actually liked each other more, because you're not going to call someone, terrible names. Oh, I can't mention them here, but because they're pretty
But would
bad.
you say them out loud at work?
Shit, yeah.
Yeah. With other people having to listen to you?
Well, they don't have to listen.
Yes, they do.
Well, they don't.
They're a captive audience. This is the problem. People at work doing their job do not have to be subjected to inappropriate language, conduct.
Okay, yeah, but I don't like hearing you talking about the shoes that you bought on the weekend. I don't care. Can I be offended by that?
It doesn't fall under the discrimination.
Can I be offended by that?
You can. But I would think that would just generally come under...
Me being a pain in the arse.
In addition to that, it would come under, people wasting work time. It's like the same issue with you can't get people off their phones. They're just constantly on their phone. People wasting work time talking about shoes, the core issue is that they're being disruptive.
Yeah.
So being disruptive in the workplace is a different layer altogether.
Yeah, but I've been at one workplace where the things that the two men and the woman say, like when I first heard the guy talking to the woman, I was like, dude, man, how are you getting away with saying that? And then she fired back at him with something even worse. I was like, excellent. This is the place where I want to work. Mm-hmm. Because they were able to have a joke with each other. And yes, well, some of it was inappropriate.
Yeah.
If somebody else heard, that was good working relationship.
Yeah, until the day where something gets said that crosses someone's line.
Yeah, but...
And then it all comes flooding out. Because this is the thing, like the group chat. Like people hide it in the group chat because they've worked out if they say it at work, there's going to be a fallout, right? So the thing you've got to look out for with a workplace group chat is the creeper, right?
One who's always watching.
But not interacting.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, well, maybe they don't want to hang themselves.
Well, the day is going to come where they get offended and they just take the whole group chat into the HR office.
Well, they shouldn't be in the group chat anyways. If they're going to be...
But maybe it shouldn't exist.
Well, once again, you're trying to control people and moderate what they say based on what somebody else might interpret it as.
I think with the group chat thing, obviously you're going to have people that you work with who you are very close friends with outside of work.
Yeah.
That's going to happen. So, but it's just the point of if it's a work group chat or if it's your personal group chat with work colleagues.
Yeah.
So, you can have a group chat that with your work colleagues, like it's perfectly fine and joke and have inappropriate jokes in that group chat. Like that's perfectly fine. But if that...
Don't bring it to work.
Yeah. But if that group chat, that work colleague group chat is made for work, then that can't have jokes in it,
Yeah.
It's a work group chat. It's for work purposes. It's for spreading information for work purposes. So,
It's just a communication channel.
it's a communication channel, that's right. So, it's perfectly fine. You're not controlling people. It's the notion of you're at work. You're in a professional setting. You need to act a little bit, the bar's set higher for your behaviour than what you are outside of work. Everyone puts on a face when they come into work. Like, you're not going to, it's the classic notion of when you talk on the phone, if your customer service voice, like,
Yes, yeah.
it's like compared to your normal talking voice, as soon as you go on the phone, your voice changes completely. So it's kind of like when you come into work, your behaviour has to change a little bit too.
Yeah.
It's like you can't talk to how like I'd talk to my brother or my boyfriend or something and then come and talk to the same exact way to Kearin. Like, no, it doesn't work like that. So like you pick your people who you were joking with. And if you do have a very, very good friend of yours at work, you could be working with someone who you've known for 20 odd years and be friends with them outside of work. But if you want to have some really inappropriate jokes with them, maybe just leave it till you're at lunch break or you're outside of work. Yeah. You don't have to do it while you're sitting at your desk and there's a young 19-year-old sitting right next to you guys. Like, pick your time and your place that you're going to joke around.
Yeah.
But all comedy is you need to pick your audience and your time and place, and it needs to be like the punchline needs to land. Like Ricky Gervais says some incredibly controversial things that are incredibly funny.
Yes.
But if I was to say them, they wouldn't be funny.
He totally owns it though.
That's right.
He even says, sue me.
Yeah, I got heaps of money. I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. I'm just saying what I want to say. Yeah, he's kind of earned the right, if you like.
Yeah, so at what time, if ever, do you earn the right in the workplace to have a joke with your mate?
You don't.
Never.
Never.
Never, ever.
Never.
Oh, don't like this sound of workplace sound of things. Luckily, I work from home.
Yeah, you and yourself.
I can have jokes with myself all the time. Look in the mirror, what a joke.
Oh, that was a funny one.
Oh, thank you. See, look at that. I just took a compliment in the way I was meant to. Thank you. I didn't get offended by your compliment.
Don't you love it? Look, I feel like this is probably one of the most serious chats we've ever had, and we were talking about jokes.
Yeah, but just from where I sit, being not in HR and not knowing and just being an average kind of person, I feel that the average kind of person wants to be able to have fun at work and they don't want to have to moderate their tone because someone in the back office might overhear what they've said to their friend when I'm talking to my friend here and then you sticky beacon and listening and then I'm getting in trouble for what I said to my friend that has nothing to do with you. If I said, oh, look, Kearin, blah, 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 then, I could see how that would be justified.
I think something you need to just think about is if you think you can get in trouble for what you're about to say, don't say it.
Well, you can get in trouble for saying anything ever now.
That's not
people
true.
Pretty much, people can get offended by you saying anything. So, are we not to talk? I'll ask you this then. How do I have fun at work with my work colleagues? And so my definition of a friend at work is someone that knows where I live. So if they know where I live, they're my friend.
Okay.
Or they're my friend.
Yeah.
Whereas if I just work with you, and I might have worked with you for 5 years, but if you don't know where I live, we're probably just work friends. We're probably not on that level
of work.
On that level where I can be my true self instead of just my work self.
Letting it all hang out.
Well, not everything. So you want to have fun at work, right? How do you tell a joke at work without being at risk? Can you tell a joke at work without being at risk? Or is it just tell a joke at your own risk? At one of the businesses that you went to that was predominantly male.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes.
And they told an inappropriate joke at work.
Yes.
And one of the receptionists overheard and they got in trouble. And they obviously, rightly, I feel, got up you because you're like, this is not a HR matter. I was telling a joke in the workshop. This person overheard it in the reception. Nothing to do with them.
It does have something to do with them. If it's content that you're being exposed to in the course of your work, then it is related to you. And I think that's the thing that people can't accept. They want to think, I want to be myself in my little work bubble over there, and anyone else, I don't want to have to pay attention to their needs, and I don't want to pay attention to the overall broad umbrella of structure that surrounds me because I'm in the workplace. They just want to have fun or just want to be themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just between me and my workmates. And so therefore it's okay. Or we want to be able to do what we want and not pay attention to or respect that structure of being in the workplace. And I think that's where people become undone because they know it exists, but they don't like it, so they want to ignore it. We don't like being censored, as it's called.
So while this isn't joke related, what happens if, I'll just use this as a stereotypical, right? So let's say, for example, you've got a very attractive receptionist who comes to work with her boobs hanging out.
Well, she has cleavage. Is that what you want to say?
Hanging out.
That is probably
and
a description. It probably indicates something that's not actually happening.
And I'm offended. I don't want to have to look at that when I'm at work. What happens then? So now do we have to moderate our clothing? Who's going to tell her that we shouldn't look at it?
Well, that's a great question.
Well,
I know it's not probably here, but like you're talking about the joke is that, let's say, for example, people are starting to wear a lot of the stuff that they would generally perhaps wear when they go out to work.
Yeah, people wear what they think is fashionable or what they like to wear, and they wear that to work. But you're about to say something.
I was just about to say, majority of workplaces have a uniform policy anyway. Or they've got, if they don't have uniform, they have a code. Like
a code.
Code of conduct or something.
Like a standard. So like usually, and typically you're not going to want to go to work with your tits hanging out anyway, because
That's a shame.
Get attention. No, but I think it's serious, and it's a serious situation that happens a lot. So HR will often what will happen is you will see someone's cleavage and you'll notice it, but obviously you won't say anything to them because that would probably land you in
a lot of trouble. I'll go into the workshop and be like, hey, have you seen that?
Yeah.
And then she overhears, I'm in trouble.
Yes, well, and fair enough. But what generally then happens is someone goes to the HR team and says, look, this hot potato or this absolute steaming pile of rubble that no one wants to deal with is now your problem, HR. And so then HR goes, well, okay, is there a uniform policy? Yes or no? Does it cover cleavage? Yes or no? How do I have this conversation? Do we include the manager? Do we offer them a support person? So,
We've made a big deal out of something that could be fixed pretty quickly. Hey, Kearin, probably don't wear that top again.
Look, potentially it could be that quick.
But the thing is, unfortunately, a lot of people don't actually even want to take that step to say something like that. So, going back to the jokes thing, if an inappropriate joke, like you said, you typically, if they say it one time, an inappropriate joke, no one's going to say anything. And majority of the time, if it's repeated and there's a repeated offence occurring, that person still will not take the step to approach that person directly. We are pussies. We are.
Well, most people don't love
cats.
conflict.
No, we would rather, it's the thing of, we'd rather go tell the teacher on the kid than actually deal with the kid ourselves. We'd rather just go to talk to HR than deal with the bully. Yeah. So, that's usually what happens, and then that's why it gets so big and it blows up. So, maybe in the workplace should learn just to be hey, can you just not say that? Just don't say it again. Yeah. And we should be able to learn to say that, and we should learn to be able to receive that feedback too.
Yeah, that is a challenge, the receiving part.
Yeah.
Because most people just want to get offended.
Yes.
That's where I was getting at. I feel a lot of people, especially nowadays, it's cool to be triggered and offended.
It's woke.
Whatever cool. Yeah, you can say woke if you like. But
okay, so I think, stop talking.
Yeah, there needs to be a way that you can have fun at work without being at risk of losing your job over a joke that everyone found funny apart from you.
Well, it doesn't matter if people find it funny or not if it isn't workplace appropriate, and it is defined in legislation. And I think that's the thing. We don't want to pay attention to the detail. We just want to do what we can get away with.
So
and there'll come a day when you can't get away with it. Yeah, you probably do. You need to attend our training. You're our number one candidate.
Yeah.
We'll take regular Joe and we'll make regular Joe workplace appropriate Joe.
Oh, he will be no fun at all. He'll be sitting in the corner sucking some, hating life. He probably will.
I don't think that's a job that anyone's going to give you. So today, have we actually imparted any knowledge?
Well,
I think we've heard the arguments.
Some funny jokes.
I think we've made it clear that there are many people who go to work wondering why they can't just be themselves. And I think it's good that we've touched on that. Hopefully, we've provided some more insight into why there are more rules and regulations and there is a higher expectation for workplace behaviour, and that the structure around workplace conduct is far higher standard than going to the pub, than catching up with your mate, going to footy, whatever it is that you're doing together. Why you can say whatever you like at the pub, someone might punch you in the face, but that's between you and them in the pub. Whereas if you do it at work, then you involve more people and you have the potential to put your employment at risk. And that's why we are hopefully having meaningful conversations about this to improve awareness. But I do hear you when you say, how do we have fun? Because, the HR police, the censorship police have come along and said, you can't make a joke about this, you can't tell someone they look good, you can't, there's all these things that you can't do, but we're not filling that void and saying, well, how do we create a fun, engaging workplace culture? But let's have that conversation another time.
Excellent. I think we should, because I want to have fun when I go to work.
You're just a fun guy.
No, I want to have fun when I'm at work with the people who I'm working with. Otherwise, what's the point in going to work?
Yeah, we do choose workplaces for the people.
9 times out of 10. And the money. The money's good, hopefully.
If you can't not be appropriate at work, just work from home. Moral of the story.
Yeah, but then...
Our antidote to workplace inappropriate behaviour is work from home.
Then I'm at a team video call and I say an inappropriate joke because I haven't been able to get them out. I've been sitting at home by myself. I've got to get them out.
Close the laptop.
So speaking of inappropriate jokes, would you like to tell yours?
I don't think I'm allowed to tell my joke.
Signing off with I'll say a not so inappropriate joke.
Okay, go for it, Kate.
I think you guys have already heard this. What's the best thing about Switzerland?
I don't know.
I don't know, but the flag's a big plus.
And with that, thank you for tuning in to Workplace Inappropriate. No, do you want to go?
Oh, look, I'll say mine.
Oh, here we go.
Mine is very inappropriate. And once again, it might not be funny because it's not the right setting. But the setting was, I was at a friend's place having a barbecue. So that tells you the difference. So it's probably not a work-related one.
It's
at a friend's place having a barbecue. Mm-hmm. And my mate said to me, he goes, oh, my girlfriend's got an ear fetish. I'm like, what? How the hell does she have an ear fetish? He goes, yeah, because every time I try and put my dick in her mouth, she turns her head to the side.
And with that,
we are signing off.
Bye-bye.
See ya.
Thanks for joining us and listening to the Workplace Inappropriate podcast. As a business owner, I'm very grateful for the other businesses that we work with to make this possible. Our suppliers do an impeccable job and we're so grateful for Premier Sound and Lighting. Justin Myers, thank you for making us sound so good. Dave, in Ireland, we had to go all the way to Ireland to find the best production guy there is, but you make us look good and you keep it classy with your editorial. Thank you very much. To Anthony, our voiceover guy, you're the best voiceover guy there is. Thank you. Jess Ritchie from Transformational Brand Lab, thank you for our branding and imagery. It's just beautiful. Thank you for listening and we'll see you next month.
Thanks for listening to Workplace Inappropriate from workplacepositive.com. Workforce Positive offers a fresh approach to bullying and harassment prevention training. Our training goes beyond the legislative definitions. We apply learning to real examples so that your team are equipped to make the best possible decisions on their conduct. With the Workplace Inappropriate Training Program, employers have access to monthly live training to induct new team members every 30 days, ensuring that you're always current with your legal obligations to actively prevent bullying and harassment at work. We have your policy, process, conduct charter, and training covered, all in one place. Contact workforcepositive.com at www.workforcepositive.com to learn more.